avenues we can pay off these loans. Now, for Ahmed here to mention that, look, they're looking at considering, or they're considering borrowing through the resource-backed plan, still talking about oil here, because like she said, the theme for this seminar was sustainable debt or pending threat, why transparency matters for resource-backed loans. If you're looking at the resource that Nigeria will be known for, it will be oil. So are you going to lean on that resource to go on for certain other loans? There has been too much. Like, how much are we leaning on when it comes to oil to assess all these loans? Especially how we've seen in recent times how volatile that market can be. At one point, it's swimming up there in the hundreds of dollars, and the next moment is right down there to tens of dollars. Is there something we want to continually do, or eschew as much loans as we can and deal with what's available here? I don't know. I just think that these are things that need to address to Nigerians. So you have that, though, that story. In saving economy, federal government says fuel subsidy gone for good. Okay. We hear you. And another here on this day newspaper, COVID-19, finally, schools get approval for phased reopening. After a 6-month closure as a precaution to curb the COVID-19, the federal government yesterday approved the gradual reopening of educational institutions. Yippee! It directed state governments and school administrators to start making preparations for the full reopening of schools, and also reviewed the 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew to announce that from 12 a.m. to 4 p.m. From 12 a.m. to 4 a.m., President Muhammadu Buhari has also approved the extension of the 6-month mandate of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 due to expire on September 17 till December 31st. The national coordinator of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Dr. Sani Aliu, told reporters in Abuja that the task force recommended a phased return of students to classrooms. He said for educational institutions, which include daycare, primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions, educational institutions should begin the process of working towards potentially reopening within this phase. However, we strongly recommend that states conduct a risk assessment to ensure all schools are at the level of compliance and create a monitoring mechanism to assess, create, and monitor this level of preparedness. Meanwhile, all daycares and educational institutions are to remain closed too in classes until this level of risk is assessed. And if there will be reopening of schools, it must be staged and preferably carried out in the phases to ensure that it does not pose a risk to the general public, and in particular to vulnerable groups that might end up getting infected by students going back home. Aliu said the nationwide curfew would now commence from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. from today. That was yesterday. Okay. I'm glad that in the pipeline is schools reopening. I was hoping for something more definitive. Not much here. Like when you say it must be in phased levels, what are you saying? I was hoping that there was a little bit more meat to it. So we're looking at schools working out a plan where each student will have 6 hours of classroom time, and we're looking at where they could have 4 hours. We're looking at when you have so and so classes come on Mondays and so class will come on Tuesdays, so that we don't have the entire school in full capacity. You know, I was hoping that they would throw out certain ideas there while they continue to fine tune, because they said this is going to happen in this phase we're moving into. So it's not something that's happening tomorrow. So these are some of the options that we're trying to fine tune to see what fits into our system better. But to just leave that vaguely, yes. Conduct a risk assessment to ensure all schools are at level of compliance. So what really is the compliance here? That we have water running in our taps, and then we have availability to space the chairs, or so what is it? What are the compliance limits, or what are the compliance guidelines? That's the word, compliance guidelines that are out there so that the schools could follow. Is it the same that they had when they were admitting students for SS3 and JS3 for their forthcoming examinations, or their examinations right now? The ones they're having right now. At the time they came in, it was forthcoming. I'm just thinking there are too many open spaces here. You're not saying too much with what we got here. This is just me though. But schools, like we hear, finally gets approval for phased reopening. And then moving on, there's another story here from this day newspaper. Police kill 15 bandits, arrest 140 suspected rapists in Katsina. All right. I mean, I'm just looking at the large number of suspected rapists, 140 of them. All right. Something is terribly wrong in Katsina. The Katsina State Police Command has eliminated 15 bandits and arrested 50 other criminals, including kidnappers and cattle rustlers in the state. The State Commissioner of Police, Sanusi Buba, who disclosed this yesterday while parading some suspects, says the command has now recovered 220 rustled cattle from the hoodlums and rescued 20 kidnapped victims. He explained that the command also recovered 10 AK-47 rifles, 20 locally made guns, 20 motorcycles, and a huge amount of money from both the killed suspects and those paraded in the ongoing onslaughts against miscreants in the state. The commissioner added that the command also apprehended 140 suspected rapists in 87 reported cases and were charged to court for prosecution after preliminary investigation. Like I said, there's really something wrong. 140 suspected rapists? Well, what's going on? He said recently the command have arrested over 50 suspected bandits, kidnappers, cattle rustlers, and armed robbers. We recovered 10 AK-47 rifles, 20 locally made guns, 20 motorcycles, 220 rustled cattle. The command has also killed 15 bandits and rescued 20 kidnapped victims in the ongoing war against all forms of crime in the state. On the fight against the menace of rape bedeviling the state, honestly, it is. This, I have to agree, is bedeviling that state. A total of 140 suspected rapists were arrested in 87 reported cases, and all were charged to court for prosecution. Buba reiterated that the command was collaborating with traditional and religious leaders, parents, and other critical stakeholders to tackle the prevailing cases of rape in the state. People in Katsina, wake up. There's something wrong. All right? 140 suspected rapists. I'm not saying that, if you look closely, you might not find such numbers in every other state. Potentially, you might find. But, when it gets to the point where you have them arrested, because I'm thinking there were solid cases that led to this arrest of this 140 cases. Because we do have arrest of suspected rapists in every other state. We just haven't seen this amount of these high numbers. We've seen 10, 15, there. And at that, we've always cringed too and then wondered why anybody would want to rape any. But in Katsina, they have it. Let me not say they have it. They don't have it, but there's a problem. Houston, there's a problem. Okay, let's move on from that. We'll move on to the Punch newspaper. It's almost 11, so open the phone lines, but do not forget, send us your text messages and your WhatsApp post to 070-1933-9962. That's 070-1933-9962. For the petrol hike likely, marketers warn Nigeria. For the petrol price hike likely, marketers warn Nigerians. I think it was yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yesterday. So we had a downtown in our electricity supply in the area where I stay. And I think this had gone on for 2 days. So I just knew that there was a major fault because they usually wouldn't do that in the area I stay. And so as of yesterday, I said, okay, that's it. I've got to get fuel for the generator. And so I asked that fuel be bought. And I carelessly did remember that we were now operating at 158 to 162 bandwidth. And of course, with that bandwidth, you can be sure that almost every filling station will be at the 162. So, and I give the usual amount that I want for fuel. And they came back and there it was, just as light as a feather. I was like, oh, it's 162 now, right? So in my head, I was thinking, I said, I know very many people now who perhaps will run the generator all night if there wasn't electricity, just, because you can afford it. How much is it? How much is petrol? Burn it. Let the gen run. I'm sure there'll be someone who'll be timing it now. Leave that gen on for just 5 hours. After that, shut it down. Everybody will be asleep anyways. All right, but this is it. For the petrol price hike likely, marketers warn Nigerians. You'll find that in the Punch newspaper. And also from the Punch newspaper, water bill hearings, SANS, others warn reps against illegality. Water bill hearings, SANS, others warn reps against illegality. And then you also have another story here that says resident doctors to begin nationwide strike on Monday. Hey, just when you think you've had it, another hits you right right there at the Kaiva. Protest hits Osogbo over electricity tariff and fuel hike. Protest hits Osogbo over electricity tariff and fuel hike. And we have here PDP reps meet Jonathan and NWC. PDP reps meet Jonathan and NWC. And APC PDP trade words over alleged 1.5 billion naira vote buying cash. 1.5 billion vote buying cash. It's a sad thing anyways. Federal government Ghanaian officials meet over $1 million traders levy and border closure. Federal government Ghanaian officials meet over $1 million traders levy and border closure. And it's uncharitable for Makinde to call ex-governors charlatans. Alaa is the one speaking there. And then this here says only Buhari can look Obasanjo in the eye and survive it. Oh God. Like Obasanjo's eyes is Medusa's, you know, the myth Medusa, who you couldn't look into her eyes, else you turned into stone. She had hair of snakes. Obasanjo, a Medusa-like kind of thing. Well, this says here, according to Adeshina, only Buhari can look Obasanjo in the eye and survive it. Obasanjo must be packing a lot there. And then finally, from the papers or from the Punch newspaper, I think I'm looking for something else, but I think that's about it. Let me run through this and I'll open the phone lines. Bear with me. For the petrol hike likely, marketers won. And it says here that fuel marketers across the country adjusted their pump prices on Thursday to between 158 to 162 naira per litre, saying a further increase in global crude oil prices would push the pump price of petrol higher. Petrol prices have increased for 3 straight months, rising from 121.50 kobo to 123.50 kobo per litre in June, to 140.80 kobo to 143.80 kobo in July, 148 to 150 in August, and 158 to 162 in September. The Petroleum Products Marketing Company, a subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, had on Wednesday increased the ex-depot price of premium motor spirit to 151 naira 56 kobo per litre, from 138.62 kobo per litre, but later reduced it to 147 naira 67 kobo. So what are they saying? The ex-depot price is the price at which the product is sold to marketers at the depots. When the collapse of global crude oil prices triggered the reduction of the pump price of petrol from 145 per litre to 125 in March, the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency said it will advise the NNPC and oil marketing companies on the monthly guiding retail price at which the products will be sold across the country. The Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Temipre Silva, in a statement on May 15, said deregulation was approved on March 19 this year. But as you all know, PMS and other petroleum products are still very strategic commodities, so you cannot allow the prices of these commodities to be determined wholly by the marketers. Well, the marketers are saying, please, allow them to determine. Number of Nigerians are saying, allow them to stay away from it. We'll suffer the 900 naira per litre. Hey, God, we will not. If I think about it, I think government should hold on to it. Because, I mean, it can get ridiculous. The other day, I was asking for the price. What was the price of... I can't remember now, but I wish I do remember before the end of the show. And they called the most ridiculous price for me for that particular material. And I said, but why? Why this expensive? Why would you do this? You couldn't have bought this anything close to the figure you're giving me to buy. It must have been less by plenty hundreds of naira. But it was what it was. And I stomped out thinking I'll get it cheaper. It was almost similar almost everywhere I went into. So there is a tendency for Nigerians to, I don't know, it's not greed, but we just believe this is the price. If we want to sell it, that's the price we're selling. If you want, you buy. If you don't, well, that's okay. And then because we believe sooner than later you return, if everybody else is selling the same thing too. So yes, there is that palpable fear that if we do sell this without the intervention of government, as in imposing a guideline or a ban for us, we'll have that skyrocket to 900. Well, they... Yes, are saying, well, it will get there. We will deal with it for a period and it will crash. Eventually it will come down because there'll be one marketer somewhere who said, I'm going to sell this way. And no, it's okay. If you're selling that low, I'll go lower. I want customers to. I hope that's how it works in Nigeria. You know, in Nigeria, all things are different. Market forces don't determine certain things here. All right. For the petrol price hike likely. Marketers warn Nigerians. Water bill hearing. SAN others warn reps against illegality. Water bill hearing. SANs others warn reps against illegality. Senior lawyers, social political organizations and civil rights group on Thursday described as unconstitutional attempts by the House of Representatives to adopt the public hearing it conducted in the 8th Assembly for the Water Resources Bill. The legal practitioners and groups such as the Apex Igbo Social Cultural Organization, Hanes Ndibo, the Yoruba Social Political Group, Afenifere, and the Middle Belt Forum, in separate interviews with The Punch, said the National Assembly should jettison the plan. Recall that the president, Major General Muhammadu Buhari, retired, had in 2017 presented the controversial bill to both chambers of the National Assembly. The bill seeks to transfer the control of water resources from states to the federal government. The bill was not only rejected by the public in 2018, but it was also not passed by the 8th National Assembly, whose members were divided over it. But on July 23, 2020, the current chairman of the House Representatives Committee on Rules and Business, Abubakar Fulata, reintroduced the bill. Despite the public outcry, he said the public hearing was held in the 8th Assembly on the bill, adding that no fresh one will be conducted. He also lashed out at individuals and organizations that were opposed to the bill, saying inputs of civil rights groups were taken in the 8th Assembly. But two senior advocates of Nigeria said any attempt to reintroduce the bill, which was shot down by the 8th National Assembly without subjecting to a public hearing, will be illegal. In separate interviews with The Punch, the SANS, Mr. Tayo Oyetibo and Dr. Alex Izoyon and Chief Sebastian Hon argued that the 8th National Assembly, not being constituted by the same set of members of the current National Assembly, the bill must pass through all the stages of legislative process afresh. Oyetibo said if the bill is being reintroduced afresh, they have to follow the normal procedure. They cannot continue with the old bill because it did not have the same members that constituted the former National Assembly and the new National Assembly. So if the bill is being reintroduced, they'll have to go through the normal channel of lawmaking. Izion said procedurally, the end of a session of the National Assembly marked the end of the bills considered by that session, and it had yet to become laws. He added that means if a bill considered by the previous National Assembly must be reintroduced, it has to go through the same process. Even if it has passed all the stages that the previous assembly are not assented to, it is not a law, it remains a bill. Not all the lawmakers in the previous session are in the current session. If the bill is represented, people have to express their views on it. It has to pass through the process. Without that process, it will be illegal. So you have it. Water bill hearing, SANS others warn reps against illegality. And then moving on, another story from the Punch newspaper, breaking resident doctors to begin nationwide strike on Monday. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has threatened to begin another nationwide strike starting from September 7th. The association, in the statement signed by the president, Dr. Aliu Sokomba, secretary, Dr. Bilkis Mohammed, and Public Secretary, Mr. Egbogu Stanley, said the strike will commence after the 21-day ultimatum it gave to the president elapsed on August 17. The doctors are demanding from the federal government the implementation of residency funding, COVID-19 allowance. I thought they gave them COVID-19 allowance. I thought they did. Hazard allowance, as well as outstanding salary shortfall of 2014, 2015, and 2016. On June 15, NARD had embarked on an indefinite strike. The strike was suspended in June 22nd after the intervention on the federal government and other stakeholders in the health sector. NEC resolved to proceed on an indefinite nationwide strike action from Monday, 7th of September 2020 by 8 a.m. until the following conditions are met. Immediate payment of the medical residency training funding to all her members as approved in the revised 2020 budget. Provision of genuine group life insurance and death in service benefits for all health workers. Payment of the outstanding April, May, and June COVID-19 inducement allowance to all health workers, the termination of the revised hazard allowance for all health workers as agreed in previous meetings with relevant stakeholders, immediate payment of the salary shortfalls of 2014, 2015, and 2016. Doctors working under the various tertiary health institutions to be placed in appropriate salary grade level, and universal implementation of the Medical Residency Training Act of 2017 in all state tertiary health institutions. Payments of all arrears owed our members in federal and state tertiary health institutions arising from consequential adjustment of the national minimum wage statement read in part. So a lot of money issues there. They're demanding a lot of money. Okay, I understand, but I'm thinking that government could have met these people halfway. We're expending so much money when it comes to special interventions by the federal government. So you have the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs doing certain things that, you're wondering, did it really get to the people? And then you have special works, that you have employment for certain people. I'm not saying this in itself it's terrible. I think if they're approaching the people from an excess point, then that's fair. That's fair. If you have extra funding and you said, well, I want to use this to reach to the less privileged, I want to use this to reach out to those who are also deserving of certain things, I will agree with you totally. But not when you have a group who hasn't been paid certain amounts for years, they're striking, and you know how critical they are to your system, and then you ignore them. I thought that at that point you get some of these funds that you want to throw out through the humanitarian minister and through the labor minister or minister of state for labor, and say, well, I'm going to take 50% from each. Let's see what I can deal with when it comes to, or even scrap it entirely and say, well, I'm going to channel this to the resident doctors, and let's see whether I can persuade them that, look, this is me trying, okay? And I'm trying, and I'm going to be able to pay you. Maybe if 2014 has been paid, let's look at 2015 and 2016. Or if I can pay 2014 and 2015, we begin to look at 2016 and so on. Or if it's the COVID allowance, pay the COVID allowance. If it's implementation of residency funding, then pay that. Except if they don't agree to some of those things, then you've got to sit down on a round table and get to it. I mean, I know what. This for me is terrible at this time, because a few days where you have the doctors striking is always chaos. You have people who could have survived die. And I don't get it, why we have a government who wouldn't do everything they can to salvage the matter. And as a matter of fact, for the resident doctors too, really, I would have thought that aside all this that you've listed, which I believe are appropriate and you do deserve them, that you should also consider the fact that people will die. And then do your protest in stages. So not everybody will be on the protest. So you're going to say, this so-and-so people will be here, the rest of us are out protesting, and maybe be on the streets, not just sitting at home. Be there, let your presence be felt. And the next set will be the ones that will be there tomorrow, and you continue until government budges. But a total shutdown and you go home and you twiddle your thumbs, or you go to your private practices and continue to attend to patients from there, I just think, no, we expect more from you guys. This is where I'll have to pause. I couldn't take the rest of the story because I just checked the time. It's 12 minutes after 11. We've got a few people who want to call into the show, so this is what we'll do now. The phone lines are open: 0810-951-0951 or 0817-000951. Those are the numbers you need to dial to get through. And let's get your thoughts on any of the stories. Breaking: resident doctors to begin nationwide strike on Monday was one story. Water bill hearing: SANS others won reps against illegality. And from the Punch newspaper, we also had the story: for the petrol hike likely, marketers warn Nigerians. And then from This Day newspaper, we have the COVID-19, finally schools get approval for phased reopening. And then another story from This Day newspaper that said, in saving economy, federal government says fuel subsidy gone for good. Bye-bye to Jati. And then you also have from This Day newspaper, Senate may hold emergency session over petrol price hike, and Labour to protest in Rivers over alleged anti-Labour practices. Those were the stories that we're able to touch on the newspaper review segment this Friday. 0810-951-0951. Hello, Today 95.1 FM.
Hello, good morning, Annie.
Yes, good morning. What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Uncle Tom. I'm calling from Ahoda.
All right, Uncle Tom from Ahoda, go ahead.
Yes, I want to talk about the labor strike in River State.
Yes, please.
I want to say that labor will not go back on that strike.
Even with the injunction?
Yes. Why will they go and put injunction? Why they are by treating labor in River State? No pension for pensioners, no gratuity for the past 4-5 years, nothing for the pensioners, nothing for the labor union that are working, the workers that are working every day, spending their life in working for River State.
So is it because they saw what happened to the judges and legislators that they are agitating now? They want a piece of that?
No, what happened to the judges is not a problem at all. I'm telling you, we are not against that. But what I'm saying is that they should implement the minimum wage in River State. Do other things that will make the workers to be happy. And then do promotion for the past 4-5 years. No promotion. The past promotion, no implementation. What are we seeing in River State? And when the minimum wage issue came, our governor promised that he would be the first person to pay when federal government approved. And up till now, he has not paid because the government refused to go to the table and negotiate with the labor union. Before we said the labor union are stamped the union with the government. So we didn't know that they were just doing as father and son until they have taken them for granted now.
Okay.
Now they have shown that they are not rubber stamped as we stamped them before.
All right.
I rest my case. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Good to hear from you. Hello, Today 95. All right. Lost that connection. Some text messages here. And this here says, it is double trouble for Nigerians. Hike in price for electricity on September 1st. And second, it was fuel hike. Why do this APC-led government derive pleasure in suffering Nigerians? APC now, wow. Ambassador Casey Williams, he sent that in. Good morning, Annie. When other nations are making things easy for their citizens, ours is increasing in PMS price. ASU strike, Dr. strike, dashing off SUVs, houses, and 150 million to judges who are already rich. Our rulers are the major problem of Nigeria. I'm Lorenzo the Light from Iche. This here says $1 million Ghanaian levy for foreign nationals is meant to target Nigerians as a reprisal for border closure. They are acting smart to get our government's attention. Nigerians should act smarter by raising the bar on other sanctions. Nigerians won't be cajoled to negotiating on the border closure, already yielding positives on curbing smuggling and increasing revenue for our government. This is from Mark. Mark also said on fuel increase, the write-up indicated that there is need for our leaders to be sensitive to the plight of the people. It seems there is a systemic move to increase fuel, but it's only being done gradually, just hoping we don't hit 200 naira per litre by December. At the last check, the minimum wage and all wages remain same without increment. Government should consider its stand and revert to status quo. The people's interest should come first. Mark, thank you. Good morning, Annie. Fuel price hike, electricity tariff high. Is it a way of helping Nigerians against post-effects of COVID-19? Annie, it cannot continue. Ekoma, you send that in from Abba. Hello, Today 95.1 FM.
Hello, Annie.
Hello, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my intelligent friend is Mr. Sam from Woji.
Mr. Sam from Woji, good to have you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Annie, you see, looking at what Wike is doing here in River State, he's not even a president, but you see the level of impunity. I'm not surprised in the sense that him going to collect court injunction to stop the protest of labor over their grievances. I'm not surprised because you see what the romance between them and the judiciary has been as a way of rewarding them from all the past assignment they have been doing to put some political party out of contest and what have you. So I'm not surprised. But I'm surprised here again. These petroleum marketers, these people, when they reduce the price, these people came out to tell Nigerians that they have old stock.
Yes.
That they should give them time to finish that old stock before they can go back to that price, which they never went back to that price. But this man yesterday, even the past these people have increased petroleum price. Not to talk about the one of day 4 yesterday. And less than 24 hours, this man, they were so fast to increase the price. They never say they have old stock, that the old stock, they should run out of old stock before they increase the price. They came now with another kind of lie that they collect loan from bank. You see, these men, they are just fraudsters. They are defrauding Nigerians. And I want Nigerians to take note of these people, so that tomorrow when they come out to contest even for a councillor in their local government, Nigerians should not even give them room to even find their footing in any community, talk less of to begin to seek for their opinion or their votes. So these people, they are the enemies of this nation, Nigeria. So I'm so pain in my heart that these people don't have any whatsoever human faith in their ways of life, just to do what is evil, because they know they will be enriching themselves. But one prayer is that they will begin to have swelling stomach. All of them, they will begin to have swelling stomach. Those money they have been defrauding Nigerians from, they will begin to have swollen stomach. And that
we got your thoughts there. Thank you very much. Hello, Today 95.1 FM. Good morning.
Yes, Annie, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Very well. Thank you. What's your name?
Yes, this is Okidi Junior from Abua.
From Abua. Great to have you, Kidi.
Thank you. Annie, is the unfortunate incident that is happening in River State concerning civil servants and labor.
Yes.
See, we support labor, but they are in and out of strike and no strike is what we are talking. If our brother is coming to tell us that he want to go on strike and Beatrice is over, who knows whether tomorrow they will just say one thing, they will use one thing and say they've called off the strike. If not, what is happening in Rivers?
Sorry, the network. Okay, we did get at least the views of a few people from the phones. Let's get back to the text message portal. River State government is not owing the new minimum wage to the works, but the consequential adjustment. Reverend I.E. Nwaogu, you sent that from Rumekme. And Enrique's government is perpetrating a great injustice against Rivers people while wasting over 6 billion naira on judges to the detriment of the rest of us posterity. Well, this is cheating, Port Harcourt. Annie, please ask the APC government why they don't want to fix the refineries after 5 years. They don't have anything good for Nigeria. They've come to steal, kill, and destroy our economy. Melvin Orion, you sent that in. Reasonably, what can the government provide for her citizens, if not something like subsidies? Then they cannot provide, when they cannot provide the basic needs like light, water, security, and food, the money that is removed from subsidies go to who? Is it valued than a batch